I went and had breakfast there. So I'm only basing it off of breakfast. I ate there a few years ago with a very large party. Um, and I actually didn't order anything. I typically don't eat breakfast anyway, but every dish was $25 for breakfast. I understand that it's a one-of-a-kind dining experience, but on top of the insane prices for breakfast, it felt like we were herded into the grand ballroom like cattle. There were people everywhere, and the high ceilings led to an echo that reminded me of my high school cafeteria. So, to me, that is completely overrated, especially with the lines leading out into Fantasyland for that restaurant. There's no way you could pay me enough money to go back there. Now, I have not looked at the dinner menu, but like I said, I'm going off of breakfast. So, yep, that's my final overrated one.
Oh, powerful. Very powerful words indeed. Rob, what do you got for us on your last one?
My last one, it's another one that I've heard a lot of good things about and stuff, and if Shannon was on here, I'm almost maybe glad she's not, so she can't yell at me for this one. So I've only ate here once, so I'm only going off of one-time eating there, but when we were down there in September, we went to Raglan Road in Disney Springs, and I had the salmon, and for me, I had better salmon at Applebee's. So the food and stuff just that I had there, and even the atmosphere and stuff. I mean, the hubbub I had heard from food and entertainment-wise and everything like that, I did not come away from my one time being there impressed at all.
All right, so you ordered salmon at an Irish restaurant for starters, and then you're bashing it because you missed the entertainment. How is that Raglan Road's fault that you came in late after? That argument doesn't hold water.
The entertainment was not supposed to be done when it was supposed to be there, because they were even asking about it and everything, and so... Or did I misunderstand? I mean, Brian was there with me. Weren't they supposed to...
I actually was going to rank Raglan Road in my top 3 as well, but I didn't because Shannon was going to be on the show. The atmosphere itself was just so dark. Like, we had to pull our phones out to read the menu. And I got the roasted chicken, and I don't think I ate much of it. It was
you didn't like that, and I know their claim to fame is the fish and chips, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody sitting with our table had that, and they didn't like that either. So I mean,
yeah, that's
it wasn't just me. It was funny. I think there was 4 or 5 of us at the table. We all ordered something different, and nobody really cared for anything that they got. So
really,
so yeah. not just me on that one.
I've only been there for cocktails,
and we didn't have any Irish waiters or waitresses, so that kind of took away from the theming.
Well, it's not Epcot.
So
they don't bring in people from that country.
It would help though. Oh, it would help lead to it. I will say it is a nice place to go and have a beer on the patio, beer and a cigar. But I will never go back and have a meal there.
All right, and my third, and I am surprised that I am in agreement with somebody over this, and I am in agreement with Brian, and I have selected Be Our Guest as overrated. I've eaten there several times. My wife and daughter were there, and they went for lunch one time. Be Our Guest to me has become an atmosphere-driven restaurant. When it first opened in 2012, people were raving off the chart about the quality of the food, and the theming and the service and everything like that. It isn't probably one of the top 3 most difficult reservations to get, and if you don't book it 180 days out, your chances of getting in are slim and none. I've heard that the breakfast is not good at all. Aside from being overpriced, it's just not good. Lunch, I've also heard, is not great, and especially if you don't pre-order. If you have to go stand in line to order and then go find somewhere to sit, and it's just crazy. They do have a lot of selections for dinner. I've had dinner there several times, but it's kind of slipped the last couple of times. It's not quite as good as it once was. I'm not exactly sure the reason of that. I've eaten in the West Wing both times because I think the West Wing has a little bit better atmosphere. It's a little louder and a little darker, but that ballroom is just too big. And like Brian said, it echoes. I prefer a more intimate setting in the West Wing. But again, my silver lining, I believe it's the only place that you can meet the Beast.
I believe you're correct.
On property. Especially if you have Memory Maker, because they have a PhotoPass photographer there, so it's a great photo opportunity. He does only appear at dinner time, though. So that's something to keep in mind if you're planning on going there. And especially with the Magic Kingdom opening all the way up to the castle now, it doesn't have quite the draw to go there for breakfast where you could get in and be alone on Main Street and everything like that. So I'm kind of surprised, but also kind of not surprised that two people selected to be our guest.
Now let me ask you a question. How were you able to select the West Wing? Because we didn't get a choice.
I asked.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I checked in. It was funny. The last time when we were there in September, we had a reservation and we checked in a little early because I was going to request the West Wing. I said I don't mind waiting if I have to, but if we could sit there, that'd be great. And there was a line of people next to me walking up to see if they could get a table.
So it's not something you can do with your ADR, is it?
No.
Okay.
When you check in, it's like when you go to the San Angel Inn. If you want to sit along the water, just ask. Tell them you don't mind waiting. You might have to wait, but it's worth it. It's just checking a little earlier. But yeah, there's the hostess working that line. She had the same response where she goes, "No, we're booked for the rest of the night. We're booked for the rest of the night." And I mean, it was a never-ending line of people walking in to try and get into that place.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. All right. So now we've done the overrated. We've gotten all the nastiness out of the way. Now we're going to go to our underrated selections. Now, when I was pitching this idea, it wasn't necessarily just based on food. It could be based on atmosphere. It could be based on food. It could be based on cost. It could be based on location. It could be based on anything you think that makes it overrated. And the thing about us here at WDW Beyond, we're not going to keep the good secrets to ourselves. We're going to share them with you. Hopefully, maybe it's something you haven't thought of. And we're going to start this. So we're going to go back in the opposite. We're going to start with Rob first. Rob, your first underrated dining experience.
Okay, well, the other one I came out guns blazing because I wanted to get the one off that one. These, all three that I have, and I actually have a fourth one if we wanted to throw a wild card in there. These all, I don't have any like really ranking to say, hey, this one like that one. But so the first one I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Whispering Canyon Cafe in Wilderness Lodge. Some people know about it. A lot of people don't. It's really, really good food. It's pretty good because you're sitting there in the Wilderness Cafe, so the theming's really good. And then the servers are hysterical. They've got a lot of different things they do. If you ask for ketchup, just be on the lookout for that. It's just a really good time, entertainment-wise, food-wise, theming-wise, and you don't hear a lot of people talking about it. So that was one of the reasons why I thought this one deserved to be on the underrated list. I don't think it gets enough love.
Yeah, and it's served. I know breakfast and dinner are served family style.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, in the cast iron skillets and everything like that. Yeah, but that's a real good one.
What's the ketchup thing? You guys have mentioned this numerous times.
You got to go and get.
No spoilers.
Yep.
Yeah. No spoilers. All right, that was a good first choice, and we are going to allow four because I had an honorable mention as well. So Brian, we're going to go with your first selection for underrated dining.
Well, I like that for once I follow the rules and you two yahoos break them. Although I guess that's what happens when it's just the three of us, because you guys broke the rules last time we were together and I followed them. But my number 3 is the Fountain, and that is at the Dolphin Hotel over in the Epcot area. And the reason I picked this is while the food is actually really good, it is a old style soda shop almost, where you can get, it's got a dessert counter, you can get soft serve ice cream, or you can get soft serve or handmade scooped ice cream. So that's the reason why I picked this one, was the desserts. The hand scooped, you can get banana walnut, minty chip, caramel cappuccino, peanut butter cheesecake, Rocky Road cookies and cream, strawberry patch, which sounds amazing, cookie dough, Dutch chocolate, or vanilla. And that atmosphere alone, just the throw of where I didn't like the vintage of 50s Primetime Cafe, I'm going with the vintage of the old style soda shop in the Fountain at Walt Disney World's Dolphin Hotel.
How does that compare with Beaches and Cream? Is it along the same lines?
I don't think so. I don't know. I've not been to Beaches and Cream yet. I've only passed it.
Yeah, Beaches and Cream is a tough spot to get into a lot of the times too.
It is. Every time I've passed it, it's always been a ridiculous line.
Yeah. All right, my first one. Let's see, which one will we go with? My first one is going to be Narcosis over at the Grand Floridian. That's a restaurant that kind of flies under the radar. There is excellent viewing of the Magic Kingdom and the Seven Seas Lagoon. If you want to see the fireworks, if you want to see the water pageant, you can actually go outside on the dock outside to see it as well. The menu is fantastic. It's a little seafood heavy, but there's plenty of steak, chicken, vegetarian options, things like that. And Citrico's seems to draw more of the attention for people looking to dine at the Grand Floridian than Narcosis. It's a little more casual, but you get that elegant feel while you're in there as well. So that's going to be my first underrated table service meal. And we're going to kick it right back to Rob for his second selection.
The second one I picked was in the Magic Kingdom, and again or two, food, theming, were my two big reasons for picking the Liberty Tree Tavern. It's another one that a lot of people just walk by and don't realize. It's one a lot of times you can walk in and get one, or if the wait's not usually too long because it's not really known too much. But I'll tell you what, the food there, again, is good. From the main course, whether the pot roast is really good, the turkey is really good, and of course the ooey gooey toffee cake for dessert, if you go there for lunch, is phenomenal. So yeah, that's one that, like I said, a lot of people just kind of either just walking by, don't realize it's a restaurant, don't do it, or just figure they'll find something else. I think when they see the pot roast and turkey, sometimes they just think that's just same old stuff, but it's really good with what they present.
That's a good place to go when you're really hungry. If you want to do some serious damage, you head over to the Liberty Tree Tavern. Excellent choice. Brian, you're number 2.
I'm going over to Hollywood Studios, and I'm going to the Hollywood and Vine. Now, this is a character dining experience. What's the face for?
That was going to be one of my underrated ones, actually, and I left it off.
What was Mike's face for?
That was going to be one of my overrated ones.
I meant overrated. I meant overrated too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, this is, so yes, while it is overrated if you have a kid, I think it's underrated for someone who doesn't have a kid. The food was fantastic. When I went 2 years ago, there were kids in the party that I went with, and I was expecting the worst because we had gone to Ohana the day before, and it was mayhem. So I was dreading going into a character meet or a character dining experience. It was fantastic. The servers kept everything nice and orderly. The kids weren't crazy. The food was good. I was very impressed. And for me to be impressed with food, that's it. It's underrated in my book.
Well, if you ever had a chance to be the podcast foodie, you just shot yourself right in the foot.
Well, that's okay.
I selected Hollywood and Vine. Let me tell you, that was an interesting choice to say the least. Well, my second one. This is actually going to be my runner-up. We're going to go back to the Magic Kingdom, and we're going to go to the Plaza. Now, the Plaza works for me on several reasons. It's got a great location. It's right at the end of Main Street, so you're not too far off the beaten path. They serve really good comfort food. Sandwiches, the meatloaf with the mashed potatoes and gravy is absolutely outstanding. It's a fairly easy reservation to get. You could actually go on to your My Disney Experience app in the park and probably book something for later that day. It's reasonably priced. The air conditioning is fantastic. It's like eating in a meat locker. And the last thing that makes that underrated is the bottomless milkshake. You can't go wrong with a bottomless milkshake. Even in the Florida heat, it's worth it. So that's my honorable mention So we're going to swing it back to Rob, see where he takes us for his third choice.
My third choice, we're going to go to Epcot. And I ate here for the very first time when